Middlesex made it 2 wins out of 3 at the start of their Friends Life T20 campaign, as Darby Malan and Joe Denley both hit 50s to help chase down a tough target to defeat Essex by 7 wickets with just 2 balls remaining on a thrilling evening at a packed Lords. Around 20,000 folk were in the ground as James Foster won the toss for the visitors and decided to have a bat. Mark Patini and Hamish Rutherford then got Essex off to a rampaging start with some remarkable scoring. 3 maximums were struck in the opening 3 overs to excite an amazing crowd, which showed that T20 cricket in this country, especially at this ground, is alive and kicking, as were the 2 batsmen. You may have noticed Patini limping there. He'd required a run after being hit on the inner thigh by Toby Rowland-Jones, but it was the bowler in pain in his second over. Rutherford went crazy, striking the first 2 balls for 4 before adding 2 more 6s off the next 3 deliveries to race the total along to 59 before the 4th over of the innings was completed. Rowland-Jones's over may have cost 20 runs, but he also bagged the crucial wicket of Rutherford, who was LBW for a 17-ball 38. In spite of his injury, Patini kept up the momentum. Ollie Rayner's return to the attack went for another 14 runs, with the former Essex captain smashing the 6th 6 of the innings in only the 8th over. Amongst all the mayhem, 21-year-old Ravi Patel, making his T20 debut, bowled quite superbly. With just his 8th delivery, he found some turn to bowl Patini for 37. Fellow left-arm spinner Adam Voges was also very good overall, in spite of these boundaries from Greg Smith and O.A. Shah, 4s which took the Eagles to a very dangerous 94 for 2 at the halfway stage, and still with all of their really big hitters to come. But come and go, a number of them did rather quickly, as the Panthers fought back strongly. Shah was unlucky to be run out backing up by Patel for 11. Smith was legged before to a ball from Voges which straightened in the next over. Ryan Tenduscarter couldn't get enough on his hit off Voges and was held in the deep by Rowland-Jones. Foster smashed Milan's first delivery, a short and wide leggy to Neil Dexter in the covers. And Tim Phillips was run out by Rowland-Jones after he delayed his decision to come back for a second run. From that 94 for 2 after 10, Essex were now on 137 for 7 with only 14 balls of their innings remaining. Quite why a man as destructive as Graham Napier was left until number 9 to come in is anyone's guess, but it appeared to be a mistake by Essex as he immediately added to the 6 list. The first was struck off his second ball, and the second came off his 6th, as Essex tried to finish off their innings as strongly as they'd started it. Kyle Mills removed Napier in the final over for an 8-ball 24, and that meant that Essex ended on 170 for 8. 15 of the Panthers' overs have been delivered by the spinners, with Patel taking 1 for 17 and Voges 2 for 21 from their allotted 4 overs each. Middlesex made more than 170 in their loss to Sussex on Sunday, so they would have fancied their chances. Even more so when Malan went berserk from the off. He dominated an opening stand of 37 off the first 32 balls with Paul Stirling, whose contribution was only 5. That's because Malan is in quite brilliant one-day form. His 50 on Sunday was in a losing cause, and he looked determined that that wasn't going to happen again. This was the first of his 6s. Stirling then swung Napier out to Tenduscarter, but all that did was bring Malan and Denley together, and they both batted beautifully. 2 more maximums in the space of 3 balls at the end of the 8th over and the beginning of the 9th just about kept the Panthers up with the rate. By the end of the 10th over, 79 runs were on the board, leaving another 92 to get off the second 10. Malan's 7th 4 to go with his 2 6s carried him to his 6th one-day half-century of the summer in just his 10th innings. It was another outstanding performance, this 50 occupying only 35 deliveries. The 11th over, bowled by Reece Topley, was a good one for the home side. 17 runs came off it, and that now put Middlesex into a great position. Foster's decision to go mostly with his medium pacers didn't work, as well as Dexter's decision to bowl mostly the spinners. on what was a pitch which, from a distance, did appear to have more in it for the pacemen. That clearly wasn't the case in reality though. The quick Sean Tate certainly didn't enjoy his night too much. When he was brought back on to deliver the 13th over, he was remarkably driven over extra cover for another 6 by Milan. The over, which used up 9 balls, went for 16 runs and now left Middlesex with just 48 to get off 42 deliveries. The one thing missing from Milan's electrifying efforts this summer has been 100. This time on 86 made from only 55 balls, he was taken in the deep by Smith off Phillips. Denley, who'd played his part in a second wicket stand of 93 which had been made in only 9 overs, didn't let that dismissal affect him. With 21 wanted off the final 3, he eased any pressure by slog sweeping Smith over mid-wicket. And 2 balls later, the former England T20 opener reached his 50 off only his 33rd delivery. It was a superb performance and one which had ensured that the loss to Sussex at the weekend was nothing more than a blip. Denley had struck 5 fours and 2 sixes in his half-century. So into the last over, and Middlesex now required only 6 to win. Ravi Vipara's first ball was pulled to the square leg boundary by Voges, who was then run out by a fraction as he raced back for a second run, which would have won his side the match. He left though with the result a foregone conclusion. There was simply nothing to stop the Panthers from winning this one. And so it was left to Adam Rossington to paddle Vipara to the fine leg boundary to start the celebrations. The way Middlesex responded to that sensational start from Essex was superb, and they in the end thoroughly deserved their victory. It came by 7 wickets with 2 balls remaining, meaning that they now head south of the river, just 2 points behind group leader Surrey, but with 1 game in hand. Expect another very healthy crowd at the Oval on Friday night for a highly anticipated contest.